exclusive interview, including Kyle Brentlinger, John Wynn, Patrick Halloran, whatever the kid's name, Robert Inman or something like that, Sam Lancaster, and Mason Lockridge. Good morning, guys.
How you doing?
How are you? I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing dandy.
Shake hands.
Of course. Some civility. Hey, good luck. Good luck. Thank you guys for your service. Of course. We appreciate the jury.
Of course. Glaze me.
We appreciate you acting on your civic duty.
That side doesn't appreciate us,
Yeah, clearly not.
but it's okay.
It's fine.
We're not going to make biased decisions based
So-
off that.
Yeah, not at all. So, just a question. What are we in here arguing today?
Okay,
Forward.
so I'll present the argument. We are actually having a debate about who the best superhero of all time is. This side, this faction, of course, Braden Inman and my co-defendant Patrick Halloran, we are arguing that the greatest superhero ever is Batman.
And me and John are arguing that Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time.
Okay. I'd like to present our first question. Who would like to go first? Just asking.
What side?
We'll let Spider-Man go first because we answered the question first. So.
Okay.
Of course.
That's fair.
So, since we are on the topic of who is the better character, I think we should start off just probably in the most popular medium. Who do you think's better in the movies? I mean, I think you're kind of biased, but
So, when you look at all of the Batman movies, there are some misses. There are some mid and bad ones like Batman and Robin. When you look at Spider-Man's, all of his films, there isn't such thing as a bad Spider-Man movie. They're all at least decent. So when you look at that, and most of them are great, like with the Raimi trilogy, all three of them, great. The Spider-Verse movies, great. The new trilogy, the Tom Holland movies, all great.
Amazing Spider-Man.
May Spider-Man,
Amazing.
good.
Those Miles Morales movies are so good.
Yes.
I actually haven't seen the second one, but the first one's amazing.
another
Great.
question to add here.
Is it good? I need to watch it.
Do you think the actors have any impact on, I guess, the popularity of these characters?
I mean, Spider-Man has always been huge, but
Massive even.
obviously these actors have elevated the character. Now every single person knows who he is. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think like other portrayals of the actors, like what other films they do, contribute to how they portray as Spider-Man. Because I think Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man, their portrayal is just fantastic in almost every way.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, if you thought about Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire outside of Spider-Man, you would not think of Spider-Man at all, but they do. They fit quite nicely into that role.
Yep.
Braden?
So I think we have a lot to deconstruct here. If we're to talk about the movies, I will concede that there are a few Batman movies which I would say are painful to watch, but I'd request to see when the first Spider-Man, like the first good Spider-Man movie was made. You know what I mean? What was it, 2002? 2002. The first Batman movie came out in 1966. That is, 38 years? It's 38 years of cinema, I'll give it to you, some terrible Batmans, but there's some great Batmans in there. But and I think there's a great Spider-Man, but I think it's easy to portray Spider-Man in a good way, if that makes sense. Spider-Man, I think he's an easy character. He's easygoing. He's friendly. He's funny. I'll give it to you. He's a great character. But I think it's harder to portray a good Batman. You know what I mean? Kind of a dark, a stern, like a paternal figure. You know what I'm getting at?
I agree.
And I think if we want to talk about the actors, we want to talk about the star power that they bring to the character, I think it's kind of hard to go against names like Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, Adam West. Shout out Adam West.
Batman was not it. That's not.
Okay, I think if Ben Affleck was given a better director, there could have been a lot to work with there. I absolutely believe that. I think Zack Snyder might be a worse director than if I gave James a Batman
Have you
movie.
seen the Snyder Cut?
What is the Snyder Cut?
I see, sir.
It's
The Justice League movie.
It's wherever he actually got to direct what he wanted.
It was about 4 hours of meaningless.
Yes, and it was.
Oh, was that the one with like the terrible Joker at the end? Was when they brought back Jared Leto?
No, that
No.
Yes.
was
Yes, that actually was.
I think I did actually watch it, but I don't. I think it was like one of those movies where you watch it in like portions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was like
So-
4 hours long.
Yeah,
So
it is long. It is long.
I'll concede to that. I actually don't know enough about that to speak on it, but I think having a diversity of actors like Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Michael Keaton, Adam West, Robert Pattinson, and Ben Affleck just kind of shows that you need to be I'm not going to say an established actor, but a prestigious actor to portray the Batman the right way. Do you have anything to add?
I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. I believe in quality over quantity. While Spider-Man does have a lot of great movies, I think two of the best superhero movies of all time are The Dark Knight and The Batman.
I agree.
Who would you say has the better gadgets though?
Easily Batman. Easily Batman. I mean, Spider-Man has his webs, but it's always either like part of him or a part of something he has. Batman, nothing's more iconic than the Batarang. Or if you want to talk about gadgets, I think you can almost include the Batmobile.
Or like even the Batcave. I think every kid had that like.
Yeah,
tribal-
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Everyone wanted.
Every kid
everybody
had
wanted-
Absolutely.
I had it.
Well,
Yep.
if you want to go back to Adam West, the Bat Shark repellent,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go
That
off
is
strict
very
gadgets,
true.
Batman might be standing alone.
Don't forget in Batman and Robin, the Bat credit card.
The Bat credit card, that's right.
Okay, so now now we're
Another
just joking.
another thing I would like to bring up is Spider-Man has like the multiverse,
Sure.
and all the different versions of Spider-Man.
Sure.
But Batman has like the old Adam West version, which
Sure.
is completely different from like Ben Affleck,
Mhm.
which is completely different from Robert Pattinson.
I agree. No. I actually see what you're saying. I think Spider-Man has that multiverse where there's a lot of diversity that's available, but I think with what DC has given Batman and the actors that they've casted as Batman, I think with what they have been given, I think Batman has worked well with what they've been provided with, like the storylines that they've given. But if you want to move on from movies, I know we kind of have a short span of time. We could go on to the next subject if the other parties are okay with that.
If you have anything, if you don't have anything to say about
I'll just say
gadgets.
one more thing.
Okay.
So, you mentioned the Batman and the Dark Knight, which are both great movies, but I think Spider-Man from 02 is better than both of those movies. And I also think No Way Home is also better than both of those movies. And then outside of the Batman and the Dark Knight, the best Batman movie is probably Batman Begins, which is like a 7 out of 10 at most.
But how is it better though? Besides you just
Yeah,
thinking
can you
that.
give us some reasons?
It's just, I mean, I
Do you
think
hate
it's-
Liam Neeson?
I think it's way more enjoyable, and no, I obviously don't, because Phantom Menace is one of my favorite movies of all time, so obviously I don't. But I just think it's
Did you say the Phantom Menace?
it's a great movie.
Oh,
Incredible
oh,
movie.
okay.
I just think Spider-Man from 02 is more enjoyable. It has a better villain than the Batman, not the Dark Knight. And I think it's just better. It's Spider-Man. Like, come on now.
We're just going in circles now.
I honestly enjoyed the first Miles Morales movie more than the OG Spider-Man or any of the.
I disagree with
Spider-Man,
that.
to be honest.
I don't think it's ridiculous
James?
to say that.
James, can I?
I respect
Can I-
that
Can I
statement.
speak on the villain in the Batman,
Which one?
the Riddler, the portrayal of the Riddler? I think before the movie, the Riddler had a terrible rap. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I had to tell you who like one of the corniest villains of all time, it might have been the Riddler.
What was the last movie he was in before that?
I think it was the '80s one, wasn't it? Like I don't think he was featured.
90s Batman Forever.
Okay.
Not a good movie.
So still in the 1900s.
Exactly, not a good movie.
And I think the portrayal of the Riddler in the Batman movie as a villain, with I guess the stereotypes that we had around it beforehand, I think single-handedly resurrected the character of the Riddler. I think it's just like, wow, maybe he isn't just some corny question mark guy. It's like he can actually have some like villainous tendencies to him. You know what I mean? Kind of has that grit that DC villains have. And Kyle, if you're okay with this, would you like to move on to villains as our next subject?
Sure.
All right, back to the jury, please.
as my first question to the Spider-Man side of the table.
Yep.
If you had to just kind of explain to me, what impact has the villains had on Spider-Man's legacy and I guess overall popularity?
So, I will give this to the Batman side, that they have a singular best villain,
Yes.
which is the Joker.
Joker.
I don't think any Spider-Man villain can take that role, but I think the diversity of the cast and just the wide variety of depth in each villain that Spider-Man goes against is just impeccable. Like Sandman, for example,
Great.
person who killed his uncle, but eventually got his redemption. Norman Osborn, what a character.
Go.
The GOAT.
Green Goblin
Green
is
Goblin.
amazing villain.
Just a portrayal of him in that movie. And what was the newest one? Was it like the one with Strange in it?
What?
The one, the new Spider-Man movie with Strange
And
and
No Way Home?
yeah, No Way Home.
That
I
was
think
also
that
Green
portrayal
Goblin.
of him in Green Goblin
Oh yeah,
was fantastic. And you can't forget Doc Ock.
great.
What a redemption arc from getting controlled by the tentacles
Mhm.
and eventually at the end realizing his true destiny and stuff. So,
And Venom is also amazing.
Venom. All right, so as you could tell, the Spider-Man faction did come out with some heavy hitters at first. So we're going to try to work backwards from that. Let's look at the obscure, I say obscure, but some of the looked over villains and build ourselves back up to the top of DC. You want to talk about some underrated villains? Let's talk about, like, I guess who people might put in the lower tiers of Batman villains because of the star power they have. Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul, the Liam Neeson portrayal?
Not great.
Okay.
It was all right. It was
Okay.
all right. Not the best though.
Hush, even Hush. So some of these
Super
obscure
underrated
villains,
villain.
I feel like they could hold their own. If you put them in Spider-Man, they might be top 5. But if you want to work up to some of the greatest character arcs in villain history, leaving out the undetermined number 1. We'll get to him. We'll get to him later. But think about people like Mr. Freeze, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow.
What you know about him and like
Sca- Scarecrow, was it Batman Begins he was in?
Yes.
Batman Begins.
Actually, I think he's in all of them.
That mask, like where he like scares the old guy with like the, what do they call it? What is it? Scare gas? Fear gas?
Fear toxins, yes.
Fear toxins. Okay, the fear toxins. That scene used to scare me to death. Like where he's out here like shaking his head. And in the video games, he used to scare me to death. He is just a terrifying character, and I think when he's portrayed right, you put him in Marvel, he's top 3.
Can I ask you one question though?
Top
You can.
3?
How does the League of Doom compare to the Sinister Six?
I guess how does this relate to Batman versus Spider-Man? I know they're in the same universes, but that's like me asking how does Stake.
We're on the topic of villains.
We're talking about Batman villains, like ones that are centric to Batman. I mean, because I could make an argument that Doomsday is a Batman villain right now, and I could make the argument, but I think we have better characters to focus on with Batman than we do people that might tie in more with Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, Superman.
the characters
That's
that-
John Virus. Sorry, I
better
misspoke.
question I would say is, I guess maybe
Sure.
Batman's top 6 compared to Spider-Man's top 6.
Batman's top
That's not
6.
I think a thing you haven't covered yet that
Sure.
you should consider is the dynamic between Joker and Harley Quinn and
Okay.
Batman and Catwoman,
Well-
and the way they kind of all play in together. Because Catwoman is kind of a villain, but she's
Yeah.
also not.
And where does
It's like-
Condiment King fit into this?
yeah, that is true.
And where does Calendar Man fit in for your side?
That they are some good. That's some ball knowledge right there. Wasn't there like Kite Man?
Yes,
Kite Man, that's one of my all-time favorites. But I think Sam makes a very, very, very interesting point with the dynamic in villains. I think you can make the argument about Venom and Spider-Man, but there's not any more iconic. There's no more 2 iconic duos in superhero history than Batman and the Joker, and Joker and Harley Quinn. I mean, when you see grown men with their shirts off at 4th of July celebrations, who do they have on their left side of their chest? Who do they always have on the left side of their chest, Patrick? I'll give you one guess. And if it's not Heath Ledger Joker, you're wrong. There is a cultural obsession with Joker about that I can't understand. In that 2019 Joker movie, that's like a whole new. Now we do not count this recent addition to the Joker. That was terrible.
You don't like the musical?
Absolutely not. It was terrible. It completely ruined Lady Gaga for me. It kind of tarred Joaquin Phoenix for me even. But I think Batman and Joker, Harley Quinn and the Joker, and Batman and Catwoman. That was a good pick on Sam's part. Batman and Catwoman. That dynamic is insane. like when they're beefing, then when they're together, then they're beefing. Like Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway, that might be like a star couple. Like maybe one of like the top 5 most attractive couples I've seen in
I
film.
think we're
What-
going
could
away
you-
from the conversation right
Could
now.
we go from relevance?
Yeah,
Okay, you're good. Okay, so what was the question so I can get back on track?
It wasn't really a question. I was just
Okay.
kind of reminding you of the dynamic between
Sure,
Catwoman,
sure.
Batman, and Joker and Harley Quinn.
Sure.
It's something that's easy to miss, I guess.
I guess I'll just get back to my central point that I think you put a Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man villains up against the Joker, Batman's #1 villain. The Joker outweighs all of them by at least 2 tons. I think Spider-Man villains are great, but I think Joker is legendary. Patrick, you have anything to add?
I honestly think Two-Face is also probably better than most of Spider-Man's villains.
That's a good
I
take.
think Bane,
What
while
about
he's not
Clayface?
adapted great live action, is also better than most of Spider-Man's villains. And the fact that they had to resort to bringing up Sandman is not a good
It's a
sign.
little brutal. You know what? Screw it. I'm taking Clayface over Sandman.
Okay, well let's
You
start
brought
on
up
that,
Hush.
Tough.
but- and also
Okay.
Mr. Freeze.
Hush isn't bad.
Hush is peak. I agree with
Hush is not
Better than
bad.
Sandman.
No, he's not.
Can
No,
we
he
get
is
your
not.
opinions on Bane though?
Respectfully, no,
Oh,
he's not.
I think Bane, I think he's perfect for like a video game setting or like a comic setting. I just think what DC has tried to do with Bane as a character, I just don't think it's.
You didn't like him in the Christian Bale movie?
I could hardly understand him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just. I think putting him in movie
I
media.
think he was a little corny in that movie.
I absolutely think so. Shout out to Pittsburgh Steelers with Bane. He took him out. No, I'm being
Yeah,
serious.
yes,
He
yeah.
took out the Steelers. So
That's true.
shout out Bane for that. Hate Steelers. Hate
Like
Hudson.
in the movie, he killed the Steelers.
Do you not remember the scene? Where, like the football field, like
Football
collapses?
scene, bro?
Oh yeah.
Order in the court, please.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
Since we were on the topic of villains here,
Okay.
could you give me? I think a very important part of Batman is his villains, but
Sure.
also I think another important part that we neglected to look at is the side characters.
Okay. I'll give that to them first.
Okay, so when you look at the side characters, you have
Gwen.
Harry Osborn, who is
MJ.
amazing, MJ, who kind of
Obviously
sucks,
MJ.
but
Ned.
it's fine.
Gwen actually is not alive in the current Spider-Man comics.
That is
Okay,
valid.
but
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
still a character.
What about Ned?
Ned leads.
I do like some of his portrayals in their earlier movies. His more recent ones are kind of hit or miss, but
Miles Morales, who is
He is not a side
who
character.
is amazing.
Any
I
comment
would
on Paul?
consider Miles a side character.
I think
consider
I
him-
would consider him a side character in
Give-
depending on which game, like
give
the
any
first
thoughts
on
Spider-Man
Paul?
game.
What did you say?
I said Paul.
Paul Revere?
No.
Paul Lewis,
No.
Paulo's Ball State Goat, ROTC.
Paul George?
Which Paul are you?
Paul
speaking
Lewis,
of?
SAE.
The
Comics
Paul
Paul?
in the current run of the Spider-Man comics as of 2025.
Did you get it?
no comment.
Continue.
Played the fifth.
So, they mentioned the whole Batman, Joker, Harley Quinn, and Catwoman ordeal, but we also have a great love triangle in this with
Would it be like Split?
Shout out Black Cat.
Peter Parker, MJ,
And Ned.
Gwen
and Harry Osborn, and then you
in the truth.
you also have
Don't even look at me.
Gwen and Black Cat, as well as 2 other love interests. So there's just more,
Black Cat's just a cheap knockoff of Catwoman.
I would.
and
honestly-
she's
We're gonna
still
have to fact
great.
Check if which one came out first.
Easily Catwoman.
Spider-Man. Or definitely Batman.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would say
Catwoman was in the 60s.
Catwoman
Really?
She was in this.
Oh, okay.
has a more developed story than Black Cat for sure, and her integrations of eventually her just being a love interest to Bruce. I think it's better than Black Cat.
Yes, but they are both great.
They are indeed both great.
So did you just
Okay.
say they win basically?
Okay. No, come here.
Yeah,
Come here.
especially
Okay.
Black Cat.
No.
But Shadow.
Sam.
What?
Let's ask Sam a question. Aim it at Sam. Sam, when you think of a duo, who do you think of? You think of Who do you think of? What is the duo?
I think either Batman and Robin, or Joker and Batman, or Catwoman.
Absolutely.
and
You
Batman.
want to
Harley
talk
Quinn
about
and Joker.
sidekicks? It is Robin. Batman and Robin. It has been Batman and Robin since the
And
Can we get some
It's Cold
insight-
War.
Can we get some insight on Red Hood, please?
Red Hood, Nightwing, all these breakoff characters of who are related to Robin and Batman and Robin sidekick wise. is insane. Like when you think of who Batman and Robin and who the Robins have turned into, I think that sinks the ship that whatever they're sailing on over there of sidekicks wise.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
Why don't you think so?
I think Miles Morales' betrayal as a whole, you can say Red Hood and stuff, but like they never really take over the whole mantle of Batman, whereas Miles literally would take it over.
The Arkham Knight.
Well, that's not exactly the point of Red Hood. The point of him is to be an anti-hero.
I mean,
To
but
be
they don't
almost
take like
opposite of Batman.
Weren't we talking about side characters? If we're talking about side characters, like
Dick Grayson?
developing into a main character,
Tim Drake?
that's a completely different thing, you know.
Jason Todd.
I mean, it kind of relates to it,
Damien?
no?
I mean,
Damian Wayne?
It's worth considering.
Hate him.
I would feel like if you're talking about
He's a little shit.
one who
Oh,
takes
oh,
up the
Travis Scott's
mantle as
dad.
most, Miles takes over.
I'm glad you
takes
watched
that
that.
easily
That's
compared to
good.
Remember that
any
one anime thing where we
sidekick.
tried to
I
find
think
that
I
Miles
agree.
Yes.
is definitely my favorite version of Spider-Man.
But
I agree with that.
I think Marvel's kind of taken this interesting turn where Miles Morales has become a central character in Marvel
Are you
movies, like
guys
the
talking
Spider-Verse
about
movies. You know what I'm
Spider-Man
talking
or
about?
every Spider-Man
I don't-
overall?
Oh, Spider-Man overall.
Oh, okay.
I think if they were to give Robin that kind of modern appeal, that kind of modern approach, like if they were to focus on not necessarily like the caped crusader of the '60s and kind of modernize him, maybe take the like Robin to Nightwing approach. I think Robin might stay with me now. I think Robin, if given the proper storyline build up, I think he could be a top 10 superhero of all time. If
To an extent,
Are you talking?
I think
Are you?
he's-
Are you
I
respect that.
Add that.
I would like to bring up one more thing because we only have about 5 more minutes.
sure.
I think our last question should be over who has the best video games. 'Cause
Oh,
there are
okay.
A lot of Marvel video games, there are a lot of DC,
Okay.
like Injustice, all that stuff.
Okay, can I start
I
with
think
that
we gotta
one?
give it to
I
this
think-
side to
I
talk
think-
about the Arkham trilogy.
I think honestly we should give it to.
Yeah,
this
you know
side.
what? Yeah, that's fair.
So-
That was greedy on my part. I
Games.
apologize.
Go ahead.
I remember clearly as a child, I would love the PS1 Spider-Man. It was always just hit unrespectfully. And then the mobile Spider-Man game that's sadly discontinued was always great to me. But the eventual PS4, PS5 games that eventually got ported to PC, I think are incredible. But I do not think, sadly, they compare any to the Batman
Can I
games.
just ask you one
I
Yes.
Has there ever
I
been a
will
Lego standalone Spider-Man game?
they win this round.
They
I will
was-
give them
yeah.
this round.
I
Like,
will
like,
give them
like,
this
it,
round.
like it
Come
is
here.
I think
hard to
the
argue.
No.
thing
I-
worth considering is all the different Spider-Man Fortnite skins.
No.
Yes.
That is, yeah. That
Uh,
is true.
Spider-Man
That really
Zero.
It's the procedure of the court that we both get to speak, and I think that we've kind of opened Pandora's box with this question. Patrick, stay with me now. Has there ever been a bad Batman video game?
No.
Has there ever been a bad Spider-Man video game?
So happy you asked me that because there absolutely has. Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 is not good. Kraven the Hunter, he's a bum. Venom, not done very well.
How much did that game cost you?
70 of my hard-earned dollars.
70 hard-earned dollars for a terrible. I'm not gonna lie to you, terrible
Jim,
production.
Point that at me. So I watched people play that first Spider-Man video game. I haven't even owned a PlayStation in my life. When that second Spider-Man game came out, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save up literally 600 of my dollars to buy Spider-Man on the PS5. And then I saw people play it, and I heard Patrick talk about it, and it was so bad that I didn't even get a PS5.
So you would say Spider-Man 2 crushed your hopes,
Yeah.
crushed your dreams, crushed your aspirations. Single-handedly, that video game crushed your
But-
desire to get a
but-
PS5.
Another idea to add on to that. Could you give me a rough estimate of how all 3 Lego Batman games? How much did that cost?
Come here. I think altogether with prices, it might have only been like $90, like for all 3 video games.
And not even nowadays. There's a lot of sales on Lego games nowadays.
There are.
You can get the
So-
whole trilogy for around $20.
The Batman video games, I'll go strictly into Lego first. Besides Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, because that is an untouchable game. That's probably like peak
Facts.
game for me, number 1 game all time for me.
So
I
true.
think the second best Lego game of all time is Batman 1. I think Batman 1 had a great story, had a great atmosphere. Like every time I get on it, I still have that nostalgic feeling that I'm like 5 years old still playing it. Moving on from that, Lego Batman 2, first Lego Batman game, first Lego game to have voiced characters, and Lego Batman 3, an expanded universe with the Lantern characters. And
we talk about how terrifying those 3 Batman Lego games were? Like when we were kids, that music is so
Yeah,
ambient and
exactly,
terrifying.
exactly.
Like you'll just be sitting on a level for hours and you don't know what to do.
And I just want to say, I think there's a reason why it took till 2013 and 2014 for Spider-Man to be in a Lego game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to move on from, I guess, not childish games, but more of an advanced game. Batman, not Batman, sorry, Patrick. They're kind of the same person, so you kind of understand why I messed up. Patrick, I know you're really passionate about this. What about the Batman Arkham series?
All great games. Worst one is Arkham Asylum, but I think it's still an 8 out of 10.
Sure,
That's fair.
Another thing I would like to bring up,
sure.
Injustice 1 on the phone, beautiful game, such a good game. Injustice
Shout out Antoine McCombs. He was stacked at the game. I remember that.
Injustice 2, shout out Lowell, she plays that game.
Tristan Norman also played that game.
Really?
He did.
Tristan with the Norman, what a guy.
Those are both great games. James. They both have
That is
Batman
true.
and
James is in
separate
there.
editions.
Sure.
It's beautiful. Another beautiful DC game.
Sure. And that was all for that debate. We thank Kyle and John and, of course, Patrick for their civic responsibility for partaking in such an important debate. Maybe we can get your guys' feedback. Who do you guys think the best
And we'd
superhero
like to
is?
thank the members of the jury, too, for
Yeah,
intervening and
that is
proposing
true.
such great questions.
That is true. We thank you for their time. We thank you for their talent. We thank you for their service. So can we get a round of applause for the jury real quick?
And a round of applause that no markers were thrown this time.
And no markers were thrown. Moving on from this segment, a little interview with Mr. Wilson. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The segment we've all been looking forward to. Tristan, how are you doing?
Braden, doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing just dandy now that I'm here with
Okay.
Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson, how are you?
Doing fantastic.
That's great to hear. Oh no, that's been 2 us already. If 3 more, I'd get a point docked, wouldn't I?
Exactly.
So I guess we'll make a little side question. How would you say my William Henry Harrison presentation at AP Gov went?
For doing a president that only lasted 30 days, it was fairly good. And
I
it was
appreciate
the
that.
longest one.
It was.
Which is really good because that means you had a lot of information.
It was. Well, I kind of had to go a different way about it because he only lasted 32 days in office.
Exactly.
But moving on from that, last Friday you did something kind of interesting.
Yeah, I
Where
skipped
were you?
school, went to the show of shows.
The show of shows.
Yeah.
Such like a, I guess, not ominous, but kind of like a omnipresent name.
Oh,
The
of
show of
course.
shows. So I guess what is the show of shows?
So the show of shows, it's been going on for, I think, dang near as long as I've been born. I think it's either on its 26th or 27th year. But it is the largest military show in the entirety of the U.S. It takes place in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Usually every January to February, some weekend in January to February. And it's just literally rows upon rows of guns, military memorabilia, historical things, all this stuff from U.S. or other world history that you can go and look at or buy, that kind of stuff, yeah.
So I know you've talked about seeing tanks and seeing like obsolete guns.
Right.
What was the coolest thing you think you saw this year?
Would definitely have to be, and it's been there 2 years in a row now, but definitely the flamethrower. U.S. World War II made flamethrower, still works. It was, I think this year it was $30,000 to buy it. Last year it was $25,000, so it's gone up $5,000.
Why are we going up prices?
I don't know, inflation, I guess.
You know, if they drop it to $20,000, I say we start a GoFundMe.
Ooh,
I say
that
we-
could be something.
I say we start a GoFundMe and bring them as like a class pet.
But yeah, other than that, like, there are quite a few different crazy things. World War I machine gun still working, $20,000. Fully fully automatic machine guns from different time periods, $20,000-$30,000. Crazy
pretty
stuff
cool.
like that, yeah.
So, adding on to Braden's question, what was the rarest thing that you've seen?
Rarest thing, honestly, well, actually, besides that flamethrower or the, of course, machine guns that are actual machine guns, this year I saw a SPAS 12. You know what a SPAS 12 is? That's the only, for those that don't know, that's the only semi-automatic to pump shotgun. So it can switch, there's a little switch you get on it, and it can go from semi-automatic to a pump shotgun. Only 1,800 of those were imported to the U.S., and some guy was selling his for like $4,000, but he already had a down payment on it, or I would have bought it. Sad.
Who puts a down payment on it? That's so.
A guy who didn't have all his money there, who
That's funny.
screwed it all for the rest of us.
Did you get to shoot any of the guns?
No, it's an indoor thing. It's at the Louisville Expo Center. There is no shooting. All the things are safety and whatnot. They're tied together and everything. No, there's no shooting at the shows.
So I guess what did you add to your own collection at the show of shows this year?
This year, I gotta bring some of these things in. I just gotta get them ready, get them in frames and whatnot.
Sure.
But like usual, I got a few more of those like different already displayable Germany things. This year, I got
Is it from the same guy?
that same guy. Yes.
Sure.
So there's this guy at the show of shows. If you've ever been in my class, I bring it in every year for U.S. history. But he used to be I gotta remember his story. I think he was like a postmaster at some small German Ohio town. Got to know everyone, stopped being the postmaster, moved to being an antiques collector, and a lot of the different people who would come in to give him stuff to sell were mostly Germans, and Germans who had left Germany after World War II.
Sure.
So he did like that. He liked that aspect of it. So what he did to make sure that everything was, real was that he would make sure that those people that brought something in actually had like the paperwork or had actual records of, hey, this was my dad's stuff or my grandfather's stuff.
Sure.
And then he collects all these things, and he has like hundreds of different things. So I have stuff about the Nuremberg rallies. I have stuff about Nazi gambling. I have something about, what I get this year? A whole thing. You rarely see this, but a whole thing on the German Red Cross from World War II. And it had 2 different lapel pins this lady had. It had a medal that she won. It had pictures of her that, the guy knew where it came from. It also had, apparently they had a Red Cross magazine. So there's a Red Cross magazine from 41 during Christmas. So there's like a German Christmas ads in there as well. All this cool stuff. So I got that. What else? I just thought this was weird. The same guy was selling it. He had a wedding telegram from Germany, and like the actual telegram thing that you would get where you got your telegram, it's a little book. The whole front page, this giant painted picture of Hitler, just really crazy picture of Hitler, and then the inside just straight up what it says, and it just says the new couple is happy. Thanks for asking. That's really all the telegram says, but it's a German telegram. You don't see those.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I got from this year because I just thought it was. That's right. I got a. How do I describe this? What was it? It was. That's right. It was a youth, like a Hitler youth swimming congratulatory paper. So it had the lady's picture who won it back when she was in Germany. It had her actual straight up paper that said she run I think it was the 100 breaststroke or something like that. Had the official's name signed on there, her name signed on there, and then it also had her little book from her Hitler youth training stuff. So had all the stuff that she had to train for the youth program, and it was just you don't see that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, that'll be good for showing World War II and what Hitler and Germany as a whole was going through.
Sure.
So you didn't get confused for Nazi again?
No, that guy was crazy. That guy was crazy.
Was he there this year?
No, he was not. I did not see that guy.
No.
For those that don't know, I was asked by a very crazy guy because I was looking at a postcard at someone else's table if I was anti-Jewish. It was the scariest thing I think I've ever had to go through because he was very sincere about it and he had a smile on his face and he whispered it to me. It was literally like, "Are you anti-Jewish?" And I was like, "No, please, never talk to me again." Craziest thing ever.
Do you
But
think he was trying to recruit you?
I don't know. I hope not, and I never would have gone for it. It was the scary, again, I've never been so uncomfortable in some social setting. That was the craziest thing I've ever had to deal with.
Did you look like Herbert from Family Guy?
No, he did not. What else? I'm trying to think. Okay, I don't know why I bought him, but I have a whole, his entire collection, some guys' medals from him in the Red Army from the end of World War II to about the start of the invasion of Afghanistan that they did in the 70s, 80s. Just all the medals, all of his paperwork for each medal, his name's on each paperwork thing for it. But I guess I now own some Soviet medals. And that's right. This is the craziest one. I was able to find a guy's. So back during the Vietnam War or in Vietnam, when you became an embassy guard, you were given an engraved knife. So it has his picture. It has a embassy newspaper. Apparently, back in the day, the U.S. Embassy in Vietnam made a newspaper. It was a newspaper about their election of 1970. And then I have this guy's engraved knife with his name on it. And you would get this knife and a little South Vietnamese flag pennant when you became an embassy guard. So I have this little collection of that. I bought it. I thought it was cool because the guy's actually still alive, so I could like talk to him tomorrow if I really wanted to. But it's his stuff from being an embassy guard in Vietnam. Right next to it, this is probably the craziest story you'll hear, more than the other weird crazy guy that I met there. Right next to it, someone had just bought it before I got there, but it was another knife. It was some Marine's like bolo knife. I don't know. It was a like tiny little bolo knife type of deal. It also had his name engraved on it. He died during the Vietnam War. It had also all of his medals that he won, but it came with a whole grouping of his photos from the war that he like took himself, or that people took of him. And the first photo on the actual, like, just sitting right there in the open was him holding up the dead body of a Viet Cong soldier he killed. And I was like, that is crazy. That is crazy. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you see at the show.
Well, circling back, I think it's kind of cool that guy, like I guess you would say your German plug, like kind of has like the story of everybody. That, like,
yeah, exactly.
That kind of knows where they came from or like who it was. It's not just some surplus. It's like actual person, an actual experience, you could say. But moving on from the show of shows. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're sick that day.
Next year it's in January. I want to say mid-20s. On the weekend.
Okay. May or may not be sick that day. We'll see. So some miscellaneous questions. Before this, we actually had a very passionate debate about who is the best superhero of all time. If you were given between Spider-Man and Batman, you can only pick one of them, who would you pick?
Batman, right?
I was going to say Batman.
That's right.
Okay,
that's absolutely the right take. Okay. That's absolutely the right take.
Spider-Man has webs, but
Batman's Batman.
Batman is
the greatest detective.
Exactly.
That's right. Mr. Wilson steals the argument right there. So we have Washington on the quarter, Lincoln on the penny, Roosevelt on the dime. If you could put any historic American, not just a president, but any American on American currency, who would you pick? Unfortunately, James isn't an answer.
No, he wasn't. Or he might have been. Theodore Roosevelt could be a good one for a certain, paper dollar or even a coin. Theodore Roosevelt would be a good one.
Maybe put him on the 20, get rid of Andrew Jackson.
There's that.
Sorry, Zaire.
The whole Harriet Tubman debacle where they wanted to change her and they never did.
Are they going to do that?
I think that was canceled during Biden's presidency, if I remember correctly.
Sure.
Because it was a thing under Trump the first time. Then under Biden, it never went anywhere, so now it's just like gone away pretty much as far as I know.
Well, Trump's kind of in this weird thing where he's started to talk about Andrew Jackson a little more. I'm like, okay.
Well, I also saw a news story today. Some congressman wants to put him on the $250 bill. They want to make a $250 bill with Trump on it.
I guess that's more a question for AP Gov, but can they just start making money like that?
Yeah, I mean they had so most of those different so I'm assuming this one they want to release to the public.
Sure.
But most of those higher than $100 bills are like actual U.S. Federal Reserve notes, which are paid to other banks.
Okay.
So like we have a $10,000 note, we have a $100,000 note, a $1,000 note. I think either the 1,000 or the 100,000 or the 10,000 has Woodrow Wilson on it. One has like Taft on it, something like that. But yeah, they're just like they're bank notes for banks.
Sure,
that's really what it's for.
Sure, so not really for the public.
Yeah,
it's more of
exactly.
Like institutional use. I think I'd kill to have Roosevelt on some money. I think
that'd be a good one. Do like his face, of course, on one side, the opposite side have like I don't know either him on his bully pulpit, standing on a corner talking, or maybe him hunting or something like that in the national parks.
That's right.
Or have a national park scene like Yellowstone with the or not Yellowstone. Yosemite was the one that he really liked. The one with the waterfall. I forget the name of the mountain, but the mountain with the waterfall. Do that kind of deal.
Put like maybe a bull moose on the back.
Exactly that
put
too.
A bull moose
Exactly.
On the back. So I guess it kind of moves into our next question and our final question for you this week. If you could have dinner with one historic person, who would you choose? And that goes for you and Tristan. Question for both you and Tristan.
Okay.
Let's hear it first. I want to hear yours first.
No. I want to hear yours first.
Okay. So this is not U.S. based. It can be anywhere.
It could be anybody.
Okay.
Anybody in history.
Anyone in history. Honestly, now do they speak?
Yes,
like
you can
English?
communicate.
Right.
With
Okay.
You don't have to use Google Translate to talk like Julius Caesar or something.
Oh, in that case, honestly, if I had to think about it, there's just so many to choose. Alexander the Great would be an interesting one.
Sure.
I feel that would be a cool one. If not that, let's go world, U.S. history. Honestly, again, I'd probably say, because this would be really crazy to hear his actual stories from him, Theodore Roosevelt. That'd be a good one U.S. wise.
Sure.
Okay.
Tristan.
That's pretty tough. So US wise, probably JFK.
Okay.
JFK's a really good
Okay.
one, yeah.
I always admired, what he did and who he was. But,
First up, Clint
world-wise...
Hill. Clint Hill just died.
Who?
Secret Service agent, JFK, in the back limousine.
Yeah, he wasn't good enough.
He was 93, Tristan.
But world-wise, I'd probably go, kind of basic, maybe. But, King Tut.
I was about to say King Tut.
Yeah,
I was
that'd
about to
be
say King
interesting.
Tut.
It'd be interesting.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. What about you, Braden?
That's a good one. U.S. Impulse tells me to say Adam West. Adam West for some reason.
The Batman.
Yeah. But if I had to go historical, that's a good one. That is a good one. Unfortunately, James Robinson isn't an answer, so maybe I'll go George Washington, father of the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard you do this at the table, so maybe we could harmonize.
Yes,
But if I were to do world history, that is a good one. I don't know why I just commented my own question, but that's hard. And now all the lights are on me. Screw it. Give me Kim Jong-un.
Ooh,
Give me
all
Kim
right.
Jong-un
Okay.
right now. I think I'd be interested to talk to him. No, screw that. Vladimir Putin. But if we had to go historical, I don't know.
There's so many.
There are. It's hard to choose. It's a basic answer, but maybe King Tut.
Okay.
I was one of those weird kids when you were 9 years old that had that weird ancient Egyptian phase. I was convinced I was going to go be an Egyptologist. So maybe I'll go King Tut.
Cleopatra.
That's right.
Ramesses.
That's right. Nefertiti.
He could even do Moses since he
You
was
could.
the
You
king's
could.
son. That kind of deal.
So that was ever enlightening. I'm really glad that Tristan and I got to share the stage with such an intellectual.
Yeah.
Our answers
You know it.
are kind of ruled moot compared to yours. Ours are a little unserious, but we appreciate your time. We appreciate
sir.
doing this.
Thank you.
I look forward to this every week, and
Yeah.
look forward to it next week.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
And moving on from the interview with Wilson, you can take another interview with a very special Tiger Cub, Devin Snellberg. Can we get a round of applause for Devin real quick? Unfortunately, as you know, we are recording this on February 28th, Friday, and this does happen to be Devin's last day as a Tiger Cub. Devin, I know, me personally, I'm going to miss you. And you bring a lot of joy to the hallways. Every time I see you, it's like, okay, am I going to have a nice conversation with him, or is he going to snail me? But it's that kind of spontaneousness that I really enjoyed about you. So, for the camera here, would you like to talk a little bit about your time at Greencastle? Maybe your funniest experience, maybe the worst person you met here, and the answer is James.
I think my time here at Greencastle was amazing. The last 2 years that I've spent here at the school was absolutely wonderful, and it was the best school that I've ever been to. I think one of the funniest moments that I've had at my time at Greencastle has probably been on the game actually. It's been being on the game with Zaire,
Okay.
Mason Pickett,
Okay.
and Zaire talking about some funny instances. One revolving around a food item.
Food item.
Yeah,
Like what, sir?
maybe like a potato.
A potato?
Potato.
My bad. Yeah.
Now that's a little bit of secret Matumbe lore. We can't let the public know about that.
Well,
Or
Tommy Lord.
golden boots. Golden boots. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. That's good.
Little inside jokes. You guys wouldn't get it, but I mean,
we twinned.
we're twinning in.
I think in school funniest moments, probably walking around and snailing people. Probably snailing people or hearing Mason Pickett yell at lunch, "I'm so ugly." I'm so ugly. Or just some funny moments at lunch.
Can we add an honorable mention being the tickle monster?
Yes. That would be
When you
amazing.
would go up to people in public and tickle them in front of everybody.
That's exactly correct.
You're the tickle monster?
I am the tickle monster.
So the Greencastle tickle monster. If I was to ask who it was, the secret alias is Devin.
That's
Yes.
exactly
Devin
correct.
Smelly
That's
Burger?
exactly right.
That's exactly right.
I'm gonna miss you, Damon. I'm gonna miss you, Damien, Dayron, maybe.
Yeah.
All these different names that you've gone by, but you've always had the same energy, the same motif. Always sitting there playing your guitar, playing some mystical tunes. It's always
Very mystical.
you walk in before 8 o'clock, you might hear a serenation that reminds you of what an epiphany might sound like. Mason Lockridge is here. Jane, you want to show Mason Lockridge?
Yeah, who is
so
this
this
kid?
is a segment about Devin's last day at Greencastle. So would you like to share a special memory you might have had with Devin?
Me and Devin have never really talked until this year, but he's great at Marvel Rivals. He's the goat.
Yes,
And
sir.
Who would you say he mains?
Black Widow.
Unfortunately, he plays not the best characters, but
He makes the best
it's
of the
about
character.
it's about the game, like playing the game with your friends. That's all it's
exactly
really about
right.
at the end of the day.
That's exactly right.
And you can see that this might be the first segment where we have everybody involved in the Square podcast besides Tristan. Shout out Tristan.
And the sophomores.
Where is Tristan?
Well, they're fringe. But so how about I go through the line here and talk about everybody's favorite memory that they've had with Devin. It's kind of like a special send-off for him. Kyle, would you like to start us?
Okay, so mine would have to be at the Greencastle in Cloverdale game in September, I think. It was the first time I actually got to have a conversation with him, and but we did lose that game, but we were still hyped watching the game together. So yeah, that is my favorite memory with him.
That's a great story, Kyle. Thank you for sharing.
My favorite memory with Devin would be the times we just talk about our religion and our thoughts about random things, I guess.
I would say my favorite memory with Devin is, probably in the first months of meeting him, I'd have to say. I mean, last year's track season just started. I thought, hey, maybe I should try hooping, right? I mean, you see me, just a nice, luxurious 6'1" black man. I mean, do you think I can hoop? And then I see Devin and he's hooping. I think, let me play with this guy. And that was the day I realized that I will never be going to the NBA. My only chance is to, start Project LeBron. But
Maybe you can join the Pelicans.
I can join the Pelicans, maybe.
That's exactly right.
I just learned a lot of things, including I'm really bad at basketball, But even then, I feel like I learned a lot from it. I probably shouldn't touch a basketball again, but hey, I learned.
Balls.
Devin, do you have a favorite memory with Devin?
I think.
Did you ever really talk to him?
No, I didn't really talk to Devin too much. I just know he loved Jesus.
True.
You should meet him though. He's pretty
You should meet
One
him. He's a
day.
cool guy. You should see him before he goes.
Maybe.
It's funny that Matumi brings up basketball because that also happens to be one of my favorite memories with my friend Devin here. We went on a Vincennes trip and we got to go to their little gym place.
I was there. Was I
And,
not?
and Sam was on my team. And
That
Sam
was
and I, we might share this memory of, as my friend Matumi said, getting absolutely sauced
Yeah, we got
by Devin.
sauced.
He turned into prime John Stockton, maybe some prime Magic Johnson, maybe a little bit of, maybe some Halliburton in there.
That's exactly right.
He's throwing passes behind his head, and I try to go in the paint, and he somehow throws it to Bree Mullis at the three, and she'd miss it, but Devin set her up right. So I think that's gonna be one of my recollections about Devin. Is just that he has that kind of like, shout out Gene Hackman, that kind of Hoosier basketball feel. It's like, wow, this kid's out in the country, but he could probably sauce up anybody, and I'm gonna miss Devin the Saucer here, but that's all. That's my fondest memory of Devin. I could go on for hours about my friend Devin here. I think we're gonna miss him here at Greencastle. He's, as you can tell, the sun's out, and I think that's a great symbolism of Devin. He's like a little ray of
Yep,
sunshine.
he's like the sun.
He is like
Yep.
the sun, always. And you could say maybe even like Kyle's like the moon, but that's my fondest memory of Devin. And moving on to my friend Sam. He might share the same one, but we'll see.
I'd say
It's like the
that,
mountains.
my
I'd say
favorite memory
Sam's
of
the
Des,
mountains in Hawaii, I
Des
think.
Devin was probably when you came by Jimmy John's with your guitar on your back, and I played a little song on your guitar.
He is kind of mystical, isn't he? Like
Yeah.
on his bike with his guitar on his back.
And then he flew
Calm,
away
low
again
traveler.
on his little bike,
Wandering trader.
gone forever. What's yours, Patrick?
What's yours, Ricky?
I haven't really talked to Devin that much, but my favorite memory with him is probably when I saw him at Walmart a few days ago. Just the energy he brought to that snack aisle was just.
So
That's exactly right.
would you say we're at the
He does
bottom
have
of the
that
barrel, or?
And
Why are we hating?
I guess
Not
Devin,
hating per se.
Sire, stop pressing him.
Devin, is there anything you'd like to talk about with your camera time? Maybe your first and only appearance on the Square podcast, or anything you'd like to say? Maybe about Greencastle or the student body, or maybe even the teachers. Is there a teacher you want to talk about?
I think the teachers that I want to talk about, there's two in particular, three
Sure.
in particular actually. I think the teachers that have made the most impact on my time here have been Daniel Hankey,
Sure.
Go.
Shout out Mr. Hankey.
Go.
truly, Miss Holly,
Shout out Miss Holly.
love Miss Holly, and
Underrated teacher.
my definitely favorite teacher is Parker Black,
Okay.
no doubt.
Okay.
Not ridiculous. Not ridiculous to say that.
Best teacher. He's amazing. I've had every single Friday spinning in his room in the morning for
Just a fantastic
45
quiz
minutes.
from Mr. Snellenberger.
Wait, say that again.
What?
Say that again. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Here's
I would say Devin's
Flame
time
on!
at Greencastle was fantastic, and
Wait.
we wish you the best going on to Danville. Danville certainly gets a good one. We are certainly losing a good one, but
It's trench coat time.
you know you can only move forward, no looking back, only
That's exactly
forward.
right.
And I know we're gonna miss you, but we only wish you the best, Devin. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for your patience. We thank you for your kindness, your compassion, and we send you off with good wishes from the Square Podcast. Can we get one more round of applause for Devin? And this is all we have for the Square Podcast this week. Thank you for watching. We hope to give you another episode next week. Kyle, do you have anything you'd like to say real quick?
I love you all.
Love you all. You know what? I think love is the great message of the podcast this week. And talking about love, let's hear a few more words from Mr. Snellenberger himself.
Guys, this is Devin. This is the Square Podcast signing off.